We are live. Hello, hello. Welcome to today's Badass Biz Women's conversation. Today I'm going to be talking with Sheridan Ruth, who is an alopecia mindset coach. She has gone through her own journey with alopecia and really coming into herself and finding her confidence within her, and now she coaches other folks who are going through the same, to really, find their confidence and to work on their mindset. So I'm just going to wait for Sheridan to join and we will get started. If you are joining, I'd love to know, where you're joining from. Say hi. Let's get a conversation going. So, hi, Sheridan. How are you?
Hi. Good. I'm well. How are you?
I am good. Today has just gone by so quickly. I can't believe it's 3 o'clock.
I know it's
Yeah.
insane. I feel like this whole week, this whole month has just been.
Yeah. Are we already at the end of July? Didn't July just
I
start?
know. I know. I don't understand what's happened, but here we are.
Here we
Yeah.
are. So it's so great to see you. And I think we're now in the same time zone.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm excited to be back, and it's taken me like 2.5 weeks, but I feel like I'm finally off jet lag. So I'm going to
Mm,
sleep at like a normal time, which is not 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm excited about that. So I'm awake.
that's amazing to hear. So
Yeah.
let's dive right into it. Let's talk about hair loss, body image, confidence, how we kind of move through all of these different aspects of life and still, show up, especially as leaders, as business owners, especially as, folks who do this online. I think there's a lot
Yeah.
that we have to talk about here. So let's dive right into it.
Yeah. I'm excited to speak about it because I think that it's something that, like what you said, we're online. So confidence is something that we speak about a lot
Hmm.
as far as being confident to go on your stories or being confident enough to ask someone to pay you something, right? So we have like all of these like ingrained confidence messages, but it the way that you feel confident in your ability to move through your emotions or confident in your body and how you look or confident in like putting makeup on or wearing your hair a certain way, like when we're not addressing those fundamental basic mental health needs,
Hmm.
it's always going to affect how you show up in your business
Yeah.
in like a drastic way.
Hmm.
So I was kind of wondering if you would share a little bit about what your experience has been with hair, with body image, with confidence in general.
Yeah. So body image is something that I have struggled with my entire life. I started gaining weight, and I put that in quotations because now that I look back, it was always relative to those around me. But I started gaining weight when I was 8 years old. Eight.
Mhm.
I was a child. And I was always picked on as like, even by like adults would point out, hey, you're getting chubby. And here is me, like, I can't control how my body is growing. I'm freaking 8. I'm just trying to go to school, getting crushes on these boys that I don't understand what is happening.
Yeah.
Like, all of these changes, and my body is changing. And that's where it started for me, this whole consciousness, like, I don't look the same as everyone else because I was in Sri Lanka. Before the age of 10, I grew up in Sri Lanka, and girls and women tend to be quite small made in their younger years.
Mhm.
So here was everyone like very petite, and there's me like getting chubbier, and like I have like, a bigger face. I'm a little bit bigger, but looking back, was I like a beast child or anything? Like, not that there's even anything wrong with that, or like those categorizations are even valid, but no, it wasn't even that. It was just that I was growing, and so
Yeah.
that's where my body image issues started. I was always trying to shrink myself to fit in with everyone around me. I moved to Canada, and there I was like I told my husband recently, like, I felt like a complete alien because here was my mom, like, doing the best she can, dressing me in the type of clothes that we would wear in Sri Lanka. And these like North American kids are wearing like, what kids wear here. And I like there's me on the playground wearing like this dress with the puffy sleeves, and I look like a complete alien. So that didn't help, right? So I've always struggled with this. My hair was very thick when I was younger. I had like a lot of nice thick hair, and that was seen as weird in North America. That wasn't the norm. Like the norm was this like straight, sleek, shiny
Yeah.
hair, which is not what I had. I had these beautiful curls and I always hated them. So my relationship with my body, my relationship with my hair has always been, it's always been a challenge since I was a child. And so moving into adulthood, learning to accept, even if not love, just accept myself. Um, it's been a journey. And then when I was 17, I got diagnosed with PCOS, which is, a hormonal condition that's actually unfortunately very common in women. And I didn't know what was going on. My body was again changing. And in my mid 20s, I started losing hair. I'm now in my early 30s. And like the hair that I used to have when I despised how thick it was, I wish I could go back in time and give that little girl a hug and be like, enjoy this thick hair while you have it because it's gonna be
Right.
gone. And now I'm
Yeah.
losing hair. I lose a lot of hair. And that's hard. That's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Patch. I was thinking, isn't that interesting how you went from having this thick hair and still trying to fit in,
Hmm.
and now that it's 2021 and I might be completely wrong because I don't spend time around, well, most of the people I spend time with don't have hair.
Hmm.
Um, but it's like considered sexy to have this thick hair now, right? Like
Yeah.
Kardashian style.
Hmm.
So once again, it's like you're being confronted with that same lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's it like at the moment? How are you feeling about your hair at the moment?
It's really difficult. It's I think I've moved through so many phases in my life, and I've done a lot of mindset work and body image work and all of that. So it's not like I know it doesn't lessen my value, or it's not any of those feelings anymore. It's just the only thing I feel is I wish it wasn't this way. And like I understand that this is a medical issue that I'm going with. I have PCOS, which causes hair loss. I also have type 2 diabetes, which causes hair loss. And so I know that the best I can do is manage those conditions and do that for the sake of my health and my well being. And that will
Yeah.
have a ripple effect, hopefully, on the hair. And it may not. It may not be reversible. And this is just something that I have to live with. And so all I really do is I try to make the best of it. I try to take as much care of it as I can. I love, I'm so into products and trying new things. So I do all the skincare, the hair care. I love treating myself to masks and treatments. So I do all the things that I can. But ultimately, I have come to this place of acceptance that this is not up to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said that. That's something that I actually was thinking about today. It's like we don't have all of the information.
Hmm.
This is something that's happening, and it could be for a reason,
Hmm.
and it might also just not be for a reason. It might just be happening.
Yeah.
And I think that helps a little bit with acceptance. It sounds like that helps you kind of feel more at peace with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because when it comes to like the fact that my body will change, my hair will change, I've always had this sense of acceptance. Like with my gray hair, I don't try to hide it. I found my first gray hair literally a week after my 30th birthday a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, that's fun. Like that was my reaction to it. I was like, ooh, I have a gray hair. Like my
It's
sprinkles
like
are
a
coming in,
milestone. Yeah.
right? And now, like, every time I find new ones, like, now there's like little patches. It's like there's
Mhm.
more of them. And every time it's like, oh wow, like it feels a little different. But my relationship with that has always been, I don't feel like that's something I have to hide, because aging means you're still alive, right? You're
Right.
getting older, like things are gonna happen, and like your hair's gonna change, your body's gonna change. Like I have wrinkles on my forehead now, and I'm like, okay, like I'm in my 30s, like what do I expect? Are there
Yeah.
ways of fixing or tackling those things? Yeah. Can I, like, I do color my hair just for fun, but I don't do it to hide my grace. And I think that's a different approach. It's like, are you embracing, are you okay with the fact that, life is change,
Yeah.
and, these things just come with life. And so that's been my attitude towards like wrinkles and gray hair. But with the hair loss, I feel like it feels more permanent. It feels more like it's outside my control, and I can't just be like, oh, it's because I'm aging. It's like, but like, why me? Like, why am I the one that's sick? Why am I the one dealing with these health issues? Like, why am I losing hair? And like, that's harder, but I'm trying to approach it in the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense because it's a loss.
Hmm.
It's not a change.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a change and it's a loss.
Yeah.
So with that, it's natural to we have to grieve it.
Hmm.
I think that
Yeah.
even what I've experienced, what I've seen is that even when we tell ourselves that we're not grieving it, we're still grieving it,
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
like actively all the time.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. What is helping you deal with it? Like, what is helping you when you have that little twing of, ooh, that's not what I wanted?
I just try to do something for myself. I just go back to, well, what can I do? Because that's all that's
Yeah.
within my control, is what action I can take. And, I'll go put on a hair mask. I'll do some skincare, or like I'll do something for myself to like treat my body to make myself feel beautiful in that moment. And that helps. Like
Yeah.
getting my hair blown out, it looks thicker when it's blown out. So there you go. And I feel good. And it's like I feel
And if you get to
pampered.
treat yourself, you
Yeah.
can live in that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm anticipating this question from anyone I share this video with. You have PCOS and diabetes type 2, right?
Hmm.
You're going to ask me, what treatment are you using to have more hair? How are you helping yourself have more hair?
Um, Nothing special. Like I come from a culture that, Ayurveda is part of. And so it's very natural for me to turn towards those kinds of methods. And especially with my PCOS, um, a lot of the symptom handling didn't really help me, like, going on birth control and things like
Yeah.
that. That made me gain more weight. It gave me a lot of bad acne. And so I wasn't into it. Like it caused a lot more problems. And if that works for you, if that's the right course of action for you, I think, that is something that you need to talk over with your medical professionals, and, approach in the way that's right for you. For me, I was on those treatments for years and years, and I was fortunate enough that when I went back to Sri Lanka to visit my family, my great aunt, my dad's aunt, is actually an Ayurvedic gynecologist, and she just kind of took over, and she took me to, like, you know her colleagues. She didn't treat me herself, obviously, but she took me to a colleague that she trusted, and she got me on an Ayurvedic course of medicine that lasted, about 6 months, and that actually helped. It helped, not with the hair loss so much, but with the actual periods. Um,
Yeah.
because I had gone like why I was so scared is I had gone 6 months without a period, and I had to be induced, and then it would go away again. So that was a really scary place to be in, medically. And so I really helped with that. And so even for, the more topical or the more cosmetic things, that's where I turn, because I have
Yeah.
seen results in my life through Ayurveda. So I don't live a fully, Ayurvedic lifestyle, but I do turn to, something that I've tried is the different oils, like a Bringraj oil. Um, I will, drink the Bringraj powder, or I'll try like neem, or like there's like different things that in Ayurveda they say are good for like um, reactivating hair growth. And so I try those things. I stick to them for as long as they feel good to me, and then I just move on. I don't know if it helps, but it helps me mentally. It's like, oh, I'm doing something that's within my control, and that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, totally. Totally makes sense. And so Ayurveda is just for, I don't know if everyone knows this, it's the sister science to yoga. So it's the science that is the lifestyle
Yeah.
of yoga. So everything you put in your body and is in your surroundings, the way you live your life. So like that's really interesting, because that, I imagine, then gives you the energy that you need to be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm taking control of it. Because I feel like that's, in most cases, that's the reason that it's so mentally and emotionally difficult, because there's no control.
Mm-hmm.
And we all look for control in different ways. Me doing this work is a way of me having control over it. It's a coping mechanism, saying, okay, well, this has happened and I look different and I look weird. How can I make it worth it?
Mm.
Hi, Benji. And it's the same with everyone looking at different types of treatment. It's like, how can I take this energy, find some control, and then that way I think of it as like an energetic, it feels like when I think about it as far as like living life, it's like, unless you take control in one way, it ends up just leaking energy.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I mean, getting into the energetics, I am a Virgo rising. Like control is what I need, right? Like I need to have some amount of control. I need to take action on something. Like that's just how I operate. And so, yeah, like doing these things, it's not necessarily that it's actually making my hair grow or stopping the hair loss, but it gives me that sense of control. Like I am doing what I can. I'm eating well. I am doing the topical treatments that I can do that feel good to me. I'm taking care of myself. I'm getting my rest, and that's all that's within my control.
Yeah. And how does that help you when you're thinking about business and career and everything like that? Like, has it impacted how to be confident? Benji, that you ask me that every time we go live, I think.
Yeah, it definitely has. Throughout the 2.5 years that I've been doing this online, there have been different periods where the way I look, different changes that are happening have affected me showing up. And I think that's so natural. I think, like you said in the beginning, we talk about confidence to show up a lot, but I think there's a lack of really addressing the things that in real life like hold people back from having that confidence, like changes in your body, like things that make you feel like I can't show up like this. I've had periods like that. And it's a lot of mindset work. And so that's where I would kind of like to turn this conversation back to you and ask you, what's your journey been like, and how has, because I know you embraced yoga and now you do mostly mindset coaching, right?
Yeah.
Like, how does that help with dealing with it and showing up in your life or your business, online, whatever it may be?
Yeah. Because, for me, it impacted everything that I was doing. I was conditioning my life around what my hair loss was doing. So I wanted to go to the beach, but I could only go with a select group of people because the other people didn't know about my hair. And if I was to get I would go in with my wig, and like if it were to get wet, like this whole in my head was happening around my hair. I remember I wanted to be a flight attendant at one point. And the thought was this: oh, it would be great to be a flight attendant. Oh, no, can't do that because of my wig. So my whole entire life was being conditioned around that. And it wasn't necessarily that I didn't have the confidence that once I picked the thing that I wanted to do, I would be able to do it. Because I don't know what that is in me, but I know like once I decide something, like that's happening. Right? I trusted myself enough to do that, but I would condition myself around what was available to me based on what my hair was doing.
Yeah.
And I started releasing that when yoga came into my life, because I think there are two aspects of it. There is like the mindset aspect of it, where you're talking about welcoming different parts of yourself, welcoming difficulty, using those thought reframes, using that self-compassion. There are those aspects of it. And then there's also the mindfulness aspect of it. And both of them are really important for me. But what happened was I found yoga, and it indirectly gave me all the tools that I needed to get through, in that I kept showing up for myself. So that's the thing, like how to be confident: show up for yourself. Keep showing up for yourself, whether that is being confident in your yoga practice, or being confident in your inner healing journey, or being confident in your business. Like keep showing up for yourself. If it's confident being in your treatment, do the treatment, right? And it allowed me the space to go inwards to my body and sit with all of that discomfort. Because as long as we keep pushing it away, it's just going to keep coming back. Like, if there is a resistance, there is a resistance for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? And it also gave me, I think, the emotional maturity and understanding of emotions. And what that means, and the different parts of self, right? And from that way, I got more into meditation, and I got more into different parts of philosophy, different ways of looking at life, and that helped me cultivate more self-trust, which is then, that is the base of confidence, right? And that's also the base of acceptance. It's trusting yourself to be able to be present with what's happening and what could happen within the uncertainty.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it. Yeah.
So like once you have that self-trust, you can literally do everything, and it doesn't matter what other people are saying, because you trust yourself that you can move through it with light, like with love. And you trust yourself that you're fantastic the way you are.
Dante says, you're from Sri Lanka. How did you know? I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that kind of was how I got into everything. And then yoga now is a part of my life. It's a part of my practice. It's a part of what I do with clients, but it's not the yoga practice. Because I said this a couple months ago, I don't know if I actually said it to you, but I think you were there when I said it. And I was thinking about it. You have the practice of yoga, right? You go to a class and you have like the asana that we all do. We go to the class and we do the downward dog, right? And we all think like that is yoga. But I would argue that a person who is living with hair loss, or living with some type of condition that is considered something like that, and who is thriving through it, is practicing more yoga than the person who went to the yoga class and did the 90-minute power yoga session.
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's
And
the mindset.
I think that is the part of yoga that gets lost in translation, um, when it's been westernized, is that it's not about the physical, the asanas or anything. That's part of it, but the point is really mindfulness. You cultivate mindfulness through. It's like I heard someone say it in a beautiful way recently. I've been expanding my spiritual practice and getting more into my spirit, my spiritual self. And I've been feeling this need to, eat more fresh things. And like my body has been craving to be stronger, to be more expansive. And I saw, someone that I follow on Instagram share something similar where she said, my mind can't hold the expansion that I know is coming. And so through the body I go. And I feel like that
Mm.
is, really the essence of yoga. She was talking about that in terms of like working out and things like that. But that is what yoga is. It's going through the body for that spiritual and mind expansion.
Yes, and it's being present because this is also the thing. If you think about hair loss, it's traumatic.
Hmm.
And when you are in trauma, your first reaction for many, many people is to get out of the body, get out of the situation. This is when we disassociate. This is when we have the fragmentation. This is when we split ourselves off
Hmm.
so that we can be present with what is happening and keep ourselves safe. And then we compartmentalize little pieces of us. And it's very interesting, Tara, that you've joined now that we're talking about fragmentation and also yoga.
Yes.
But like we go into this state, and so your trauma response is most of the time to get out of the body.
Hmm.
So if we are going to become more present, and if we are going to start healing, we have to get back into the body
Yeah.
through mindfulness, through embodiment. And sometimes that's through yoga. Sometimes that's going to yoga class.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's just feeling your feet on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
this conversation itself is just so healing. So
It really
bringing this,
is.
yeah. So bringing this back to, what you asked me before, how does my journey um, play into what I do online or how I show up? Um, like I said, I've gone through periods where I'm like, and I also deal with depression and anxiety, and that comes and goes. And so there will be periods of, months or weeks where I'm like, I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like really showering, putting on makeup. I'm just like getting through day by day. And so when I'm in that state, there used to be a time when I'm like, if I don't put on makeup or, if I don't feel like getting dressed up, if I don't feel like doing my hair, I don't want to show up. And what helped me break past that was a lot of EFT work. That's emotional freedom techniques. So I worked with a coach who specialized in that, and all of that, EFT, um, getting rid of those blocks that were really tied to old, childhood wounds and these stories that I was holding on to that I was not worthy of being seen unless I looked presentable or unless I looked like what is expected, right? I had to break through all of that. And now I'm like, I'll show up in my pajamas. I'll show up with my hair like going poofy because I just let it air dry. I'll show up without makeup and I will show up full glam. Like, it doesn't matter. What matters is the message. But getting there is the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love that you said it doesn't matter what matters is the message. That's just
Yeah.
really pretty. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so funny because I have a client at the moment and we've kind of moved past hair loss. Like she's feeling very good about it. We've moved a lot more into body image and we meet weekly. But every single week she's like, oh, this comes back to my mom and dad again. Like, It's always coming back to her as an 8-year-old, 12-year-old, 16-year-old,
Hmm.
processing something that her mom or her dad or her cousin or her auntie said to her about her body image
Yeah.
and about her hair. It's always coming back to that. Like the way we deal with one thing is the way we deal with everything else.
Hmm.
And it's interesting that you said that, because when you started speaking before, you talked about how when you were 8, you started thinking about like making yourself small.
Hmm.
And instantly I was like, oh, obviously that's played out in her business. Like, not that I see it in your business, but of course it plays out in your
Yeah.
business because it also played out in my business.
Hmm.
And it plays out in every single person. You have to get past that.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't want to say it because it felt very personal. So I was like, I see you.
Yeah, and
But
I
it's
mean
like,
that's
yeah,
completely
touched
valid.
on
Like, that is, I think, we can speak to that as a shared experience because being coaches, these are things that we hear from clients and we see them in ourselves, we see it in conversations we have with our peers. Yeah, those things play out. And definitely, this is something I still work through with my coach. This idea that, there is a desire for me to be seen on a bigger level. I have this desire
that.
for more visibility, but that old pattern of wanting to shrink myself, wanting to fit in, wanting to make sure I'm not standing out too much, that holds me back on that visibility that I actually deeply want. And that is the work. Again, that is what we have to keep working through.
Yeah. What comes to mind when you say that is maybe it's my story. It's being too different.
Hmm.
Don't want to be too, like, you want to be just the right amount of different,
Yeah. Yep.
but not too different, which is, I think, my story, and something that plays out in I see it in my hair loss. I'm comfortable being bald. This is very comfortable for me. I'm not that comfortable not having eyebrows on.
Mm.
Because in my mind right now, that is a little bit too different,
Hmm.
right? And it happens in my business as well. I'm comfortable saying one thing, oh, but there's like a discomfort in saying the other because that would be too different.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, really interesting how it's like you're expanding constantly.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That, desire to, that pattern of keeping myself small enough to fit in is there. And that's why I'm like, and like, I know what I bring to the table. And this is what I work through with my clients in offer creation, be clear on what you're an expert in, what you bring to the table. And so when me, being that coach, like I've done that work, I know what I bring to the table. I know that I have, a decade of experience backing me up. I know I have the results. And then I'm like, oh, but I can't go sit with, I can't put myself for opportunities where people with much bigger audiences are the ones being presented. It's like, that's again that same pattern of you need to keep yourself small. You need to keep yourself in line with your peers, which
Mm,
like, no, that's a stage for people who have like 100,000 followers. It's not for me yet. I have to be in line. I have to watch what everyone around my stage are doing and do just enough.
to be just the right amount of different, the
Yeah.
right amount of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oof, it's so interesting. And that's why it's powerful to stretch yourself, to spend time in groups of people who are in the same, and also lovingly catch yourself and do
Yeah.
things that are uncomfortable anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we're all doing all the time.
Hmm.
Yeah. I love this. I love
Me
that.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been such a healing conversation. Like, just talking through it, and I hope that comes through for everyone listening too. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
voicing these things, putting words to them is powerful.
Can I comment on that? Because there's something which is the vagal nerve theory. And we have this nerve that regulates our entire body, our nervous system, which regulates our emotions and our thoughts and everything. And there are many, many things that we do in yoga that tone this nerve. But one of them that we can do without having to get on a mat is talking. So it's the vibrations that we create. This is why we have mantras. This is why we sing. And it's also talking with other people. It's talking in community. So the more we do that, the more we tone that nerve and the easier we make this entire experience. Yeah. That's the science behind it.
Yeah.
Benji, do you have to find your own path? Yes, you have to find your own path.
Yes.
You can't outsource that. As much as we would all love to outsource that.
Yeah. You can get support, you can get mentorship, but ultimately you are finding your own path.
Being here is finding your own path.
Mm-hmm.
We're all finding our own path all the time. Sometimes they cross. Sometimes we'll have things in common with other people. Sometimes we can use tools that other people have used. And sometimes we can also respond to other people's tools, try it out and say, oh, well, not quite that, but something similar might be good for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we work with people. That's why you have people to help you in your business and people like me to help you with your mental health and your confidence and your acceptance and your mindset.
And that reminds me, so yesterday I channeled a few powerful messages about offers and business. And one of those messages that came through was, your only role is to share your gifts so that those journeys that are meant to intersect with your own can, grow and go on their own way. I'm going to post those channeled messages probably, later this week or next week. So stay tuned because I rarely, a lot of what I channel is more life related, and this was very interesting to me that this was very specifically about offers and business, which is what I do as a business coach. But it just came through so powerfully that, your offers are, or, your gifts that you have are a result of the evolution that your soul has gone through. And it's not your job to, convince other people or, tell them what they have to do. You open up and you share those gifts, and they will be a stepping stone for someone else's journey, but they're on their own path.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that your offers and the things that you birth into the world are the pieces that the other person needs to come across in order to continue their ripple effect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is really easy because I feel like sometimes we can be overwhelmed with, I can do all these things. I know all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like honing in, okay, but like, what is the thing? Which is not easy to do by yourself all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very hard to do by yourself.
Yeah. And some people are meant to do a lot of different things because that's just how they're meant to show up in the world, and that's okay. And some people are meant to really go deep. Yes, I am a manager, so I feel that part very deeply. We're meant to do a lot of things, but there are certain gifts that even as a manager, and I notice this is what I'm meant to share with other people. This is my role in helping the collective ascend, and everyone's ascending in their own ways, in their own divine time. My role is not to push my ideology or my way of being on anyone. It's just to share my gift so that you can take what you need and you can be on your own way.
And this doubles down on your confidence, because when you know who you are and why you're here, you focus on that and you get confident in that. Mm-hmm. Which works very well into Benji, your question. How do you know who you, what was it that you said? How would you suggest how to find who am I? I'm going to sound like a very, um, sit down in silence and ask yourself that question.
And
And if
sometimes,
you find an answer, it's probably wrong because we don't know.
yeah, I was just gonna say, sometimes, it's not gonna come through the first time. You'll have to, and not just sometimes, like you'll have to sit down multiple times and you have to keep sitting down with yourself because who you are is changing. That is the nature of life, is you're always changing.
Yeah, and there's a little piece of you inside that we don't have a name for, that I can't articulate to you that piece of me that is inside. I cannot like take the world, this sensation, and put it into letters that create a word to express to you who I am. Everything else around me is constantly changing. And when you understand that is who you are and everything else is constantly changing, then you have that confidence. Okay, this is this thing that I can't articulate, that I don't even know what it is, that's who I am, and everything else is just impermanent
Hmm.
and will die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how we got here, but I love
It was
that.
meant to be.
Yeah. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. But yeah, this is really, really beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah, this,
talking about this, and I'm excited to read. I know you also have a love letter. Is this the
yeah,
same messages?
no. A
Oh, they're
lot
different.
of, yeah, I don't know what it is about this week, this season. A lot of messages have been coming through, so I can't post them quickly enough.
I love
Yeah,
that. I love that.
I have a love letter
Yeah,
coming for you. I have those channeled messages and a few more powerful things that I'm working on.
I love that. I'm usually very inspired, but I haven't been that inspired lately. The one thing that has come through is I wrote some journal prompts on acceptance,
Mm,
and it actually has to do with like, who am I? Because when you know who you are, it makes, and what you're not, it makes acceptance so much easier.
hmm.
So I'm excited. I'm going to post those two as well. Um,
I can't wait to see
yeah.
them. Yeah.
And for anyone else who's watching who does have hair loss, at the moment I am enrolling Acceptance and Confidence Ascension, where we take the physical yoga practice as well as all of this other yoga stuff, mindset, spirituality, emotions, shadow work, all of this, and we apply it to your hair loss journey. We apply it to your body image and your confidence journey so that you can walk out feeling sexy within 12 weeks. That's
That's
what I'm enrolling right
beautiful.
now.
It's so powerful because as someone who, before I found this community, before I found folks like Sheridan, I was doing this work all alone. I was dealing with the grief, the wanting to accept but not quite being able to accept, all of these feelings that come up as you lose your hair or your body changes or everything that we've talked about today. I was dealing with these things all alone, and that's a difficult place to be in. Conversations like this are so healing. So having a coach hold that space for you is going to be very powerful if you're going through that. So definitely reach out to Sheridan.
I can like feel that space of yours. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
It is really powerful. Thank you. Um,
And if you are a fellow business owner and you are working on elevating your practice, right? Creating offers that truly align with your energy and serving your community in ways so that, they can use your offers as a stepping stone for their own ascension, then I also have intensive spots available. I have opened up 3 spots for August. I actually just counted them this week and I was like, oh wow, I only have 10 spots for intensives available for the rest of the year. And it is first come, first serve. And that's not, I'm not, saying this as a scarcity thing. It's because I
yeah,
honor my energy so much. I protect my energy with a lot of love and with with a lot of intention, because that is how I'm able to show up in my best capacity for you all. So those spots are open. If you have any questions about them, send me a DM, and I'm always down to chat.
Yeah, I have to say there's nothing like, for anyone who's like looking at this thinking, Ove, I have to say you're one of the people who I can always guarantee is going to be 100% present. You're not going to be anyone who's going to try and like do as many things as you can to make money, or do as many things as you can to please another, or get to some goal. Like if you're in it, you are 150,000% in it, and that is so valuable in a coach, like so valuable.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
that.
Thank you.
Same for this. Thank you for this conversation.
It's been so good. I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah, all right. We have to do it again later. I've already written notes. I'm excited. Anyway, thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, Sharon. And all right, thanks to
Thank
everyone
you,
who
everyone, for
joined.
joining.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.